great. Fantastic. Oh, Sativa.
Basically, I think it's quite a good idea to write films about sort of dreams that you have about ideal situations. And I remember when I used to lie sleepless at nights, I would say.
And the film charts the relationship that develops between these two unlikely people.
Whenever you're asked the question about casting your film, there's always the fiction that whoever you cast was always your first choice. But I have to say, Julia was the one and only person that we offered that part to.
When I was first told about it and given a brief description of it, I thought, that doesn't sound like something I want to go off and do. Go off to England and leave my family to go be movie star girl. It sounded kind of boring. And I read the script and was just, from the very first page to the last page, loved every word of it, thought it was delicious, knew I had to do it.
She's intimidatingly famous for a start, but once you're over that, which doesn't take too long because she's actually very silly, she's intimidatingly good.
She has the ability to burst into life like a firework when you say action.
She's very, very good with freshness. You know how important it is to preserve the spontaneity in a performance, and she knows that you've only got 4 or 5 takes in which you're still spontaneous, and after that you're just repeating yourself. And she's very good at holding that back, so she doesn't give it all in rehearsal or when you're lining up the cameras. But as soon as there's real film going through the camera, she pings.
You know, arguably the most famous Hollywood film star to play the most famous Hollywood film star. Why go to a star to play the unknown boy? Wouldn't that be a bit odd? Wouldn't it be much more enjoyable, say, to have, you know, Michael Smith, you know, somebody that, and but in the end, it's just, you know, we thought, no, you go with the talent.
Hugh is a real worker. He likes to work. He likes to do more and more takes. He'll never say, no, I don't want to do another take. He'll always go for another take, just in case something odd or new or different or some nuance will change.
I was really impressed with how hard he worked and how interesting he wanted to make every little moment.
He's one of the only actors, I think, that we've ever found who can really read Richard's lines, you know, perfectly. It's sort of like an expression of Richard's inner rhythms.
It's in his character not to be awestruck, not to go dumb, and not to change his personality. He actually finds, as someone who's never met anyone famous before, that he finds it easy to operate with her. And I think that she spots that, and that's what brings them together, that he's actually a person who can cope with fame.
We all live in a media world. We walk down the street and we see posters. You know, we have all of these images, these icons in our heads, and we've tried to create a setting where Julia's character, Anna Scott, is everywhere. You know, she's releasing a movie and posters on the streets.
Something which is, you know, a tiny joke, a character who's probably called Angry Old Man or Determined Customer, suddenly turn into a wonderful person of flesh and blood. And I also don't have a very visual imagination, so, you know, I tend to see stick person with big hair talking to stick person without big hair as man and woman, and therefore it is fantastic for me to see it fleshed out.
We wanted to test, as it were, to prove the script. Richard feels that that's a very valuable part of the writing process, and at some point he just has to hear it read. And it is amazing how the good parts and the bad parts reveal themselves suddenly in the mouths of actors.
The great thing about a really good script and a really clever director is that you find yourself in a situation where even the tiniest part has been cast so precisely with such a talented person that even the littlest moment in the movie becomes a really interesting moment that you'll remember.
Really hard to work with Reese, man, because, you know, I had to be straight-faced all the time. And it's one thing, the challenge of being straight-faced around Hugh, which after a while I would just sort of got good at. I became determined, you know. But with Reese, it's nearly impossible not to just fall out of your chair because he's so funny and he's so outrageous. I didn't know what he was talking about. So I could just kind of, you know, okay. But he's sweet, he's dear. He's dear, which doesn't really come across in his part, how incredibly sweet he is because, you know, with his pants drooping down and all that sort of thing, but he really is dear.
Well, my friends are quite an eclectic bunch, ranging from, as is Notting Hill, they're a kind of cross-section of Notting Hill, and so you've got the relatively well-off professional Max and Bella, one's a lawyer, one's a banker, who own a nice big house in the sort of posh part of town.
Tim McInerney, who's playing Max, and Notting Hill, and I wanted her to represent all the exuberance and excitement.
She just basically is her name, this character. I wish I was like her. She's a honey. She's a complete sweetie pops, with no malice and just giving and a huge heart.
Then there's this other friend, Bernie, who works in the city and is not as bright as you really should be for that job, and is doing very badly, keeps losing millions of pounds, and is something of a sort of prat, but a very lovable prat.
Bernie's the last person to leave a party, despite however much his hosts are yawning and talking about having to get the kids up.
Consider whether you would, in fact, then reconsider.
Yes, I believe I would.
Magic can happen, you know, it can happen. Your fantasies can be realized. Your dreams can come true. That's something that everyone needs to hear once in a while.